Hello everyone, this is Todd Giles, instructor for Art 170, and this is a continuation of a discussion about the elements of art. In this video we'll be going over color. Color is one of the most important of the elements of art and also one of the most complex. We'll be talking about color in a little bit more academic way than normal. It is complex, and we need to break it down in different ways so we understand how we can differentiate between colors and other details. So as we talk about color, one of the more important aspects is the word hue. And this is the more academic way of just talking about color. In an analysis paper, we just can't say a color is this or a color is that. As we describe color, we use other words besides just color. So hue is one of these aspects. What hue means is what is the color. So blue, yellow, red, green, orange, purple, those are hues. We can also talk about the intensity. And this is taking the pure color, in this case red, and how it changes from being bright to being dull. That it's very intense with the pure color and it's just very, very bright, all the way until all the color is gone and you're left with a gray, where the actual color is gone. Now, something that would seem close to that, but it really is different, is value. And value is where we could go from the dark color through to the pure color, and then that same color that's very, very, very light. Now, this is different than the intensity, where it goes from pure color to gray. This goes from the dark color to a light color. So it's like adding black and adding white. Another way that we can describe color is it warm or is it cold? You can see that on the top bar, we go from a very, very light fuchsia to a bright yellow, and these are warm colors. So we can describe any one of these colors in this area as being very warm. Or we can have cold colors that go from in the blues around to the greens. So you're looking at mainly blues and a little bit of the greens. These are colors that will recede back into the space, and they're just not popping out like a red or a yellow. Now, another aspect what we can talk about is contrast. And on the bars here, we have a light yellow up against a black. And these two colors have one of the greatest contrasts visually to the human eye. So anytime that we have two color areas that are very, very different, we can say that has contrast. I've added a color wheel. A color wheel simply is a visual way to show how colors interact with one another. If you have not ever seen a color wheel, do a Google search or YouTube and have an explanation about the color wheel. Another way to discuss color are color groups, how colors are grouped together for various aspects. First off, primary colors. The primary colors are blue, red, yellow. You cannot take two other colors and make yellow. You can't take two other colors and make red. You can't take two other colors and make blue. These are the purest colors of the primary, and they have to be, quote, natural. Now, what we do with these colors by mixing all the other colors come from blue, red, and yellow. On the color wheel, we've got blue, red, and yellow. And notice how they break the color wheel up into thirds. Then we have secondary colors, which are created by mixing two of the primary colors. Yellow and blue creates green. Yellow and red creates orange. Blue and red creates purple. And then you can see on the color wheel that they are halfway between each of the primary colors. Then we have complementary colors, which are opposite one another on the color wheel. So we have red and green as complementary, blue and orange as complementary, yellow and purple as complementary. Now, for American culture, we see these type of colors all the time. Red and green, those are the typical Christmas colors. And then we have monochromatic, Mono meaning one, chromatic meaning color. This is a set of colors based on one color. Here we have purple. It includes the tints, which are the lighter aspects of purple, and shades, which are the darker aspects of purple. And as we see on the color wheel, it takes in only that one sliver. Then we have polychromatic, which poly meaning many, chromatic meaning color again. And this is an image that has lots of color. And on the color wheel, you can see that they're just random. And then we have analogous colors. These colors represent 2 to 5 colors on the color wheel that are in sequence. One way of stating it is that they are related, but for the human eye, these normally are very harmonious sets of color. They're all next to one another, they are all related to one another, and they should work very well with each other in a piece of artwork. That's the theoretical part of color. Now, how do we apply this in our forum posts and our papers? The very first thing when I come up on a piece of artwork that I'm going to analyze is look for the overall tone of the color. And one quick way that we can do that is to squint. That gets rid of all of the details, and we're just left with areas of fuzzy color. And as we look at the El Greco, I can see that there are blues and yellows and greens and whites. And then most of the overall tone is dull. The intensity is what I'm looking at. It's dull. There aren't really any bright colors, so that when we talk about value, we can say that they are dark. Temperature-wise, these colors are cold. Blue is a cold color. Green, especially this darker, is a cold color. The only warm colors would be the yellows. However, they are very dull and very dark, thus they don't pop out. The brightest part of the painting is the body of Christ against the blue robe of Mary, which gives a great contrast. When I'm making my analysis, I wouldn't just say blue, yellow, green, white. I would discuss how all of the colors are dull, giving an overall dull tone, and then listing the blues and the yellows and the greens that are dull and where they are located. The dark blue cloak of Mary, the dark yellow cloak of John the Apostle, the very dark purple dress of Mary Magdalene, and then talk about the somewhat medium contrast of the grayish white, dull body of Christ against the dark blue cloak of Mary. And we can say that overall, what we see is an analogous color scheme, that the blues and the yellows are all on one half of the color wheel, and that they do work together. There aren't any glaring opposite colors screaming out at us. Then if we look at the Michelangelo, the overall tone is a light cream with gray streaks. It's a very light hue of stone. It's not bright white like a Carrara marble, because this does have streaks of grayish blue throughout. It's not bright intensity, so it is toned down a little bit. So I'd say it has a medium intensity of color. It has a very light value. It isn't a dark. It's more of a light marble. And it has a cool color to it. It's not jarring. It's not bright. It's cool. And due to how it's been crafted, there are large areas of dark shadow which really become color within a sculpture. We can see on the left-hand side that large opening where her cloak is hanging down, and the fold underneath the back of Christ making large shadows. And this is a very monochromatic sculpture because all we have is that sameness of color of the stone throughout. There is no paint applied to stand out. It's only stone that we see. Well, that's going through color, and I hope that helps. If you do have questions, contact me, please, and we can discuss it a little bit more detail. I'll see you next time.